Hello and welcome to another Grow Together Food and Medicinal Gardens episode. In this episode I'm going to give you the long-awaited results from my Electroculture and Jadam vegetable growing experiment. So despite my experiments, this has been the worst growing season I've ever had, in part because I was so late getting the vegetables in, and then we had all that incredibly scorchingly hot weather that they never really got going, and also I had a major mole problem. Whenever I watered them, the seedlings would just go boom and sink where the moles had been underneath, and obviously disturbing their root system, and this went on for weeks. So that combination meant it was just appalling. But despite that, there had been some very obvious differences between the Jadam and the Electroculture and the control group. Now, just to be heads up, the Jadam I did not do properly. You're meant to put 5 solutions of the JMS onto the soil before you start the growing season. I did not do that. I did 3, but during the growing season. So the results are nowhere near as good as they should have been. So bear that in mind when you look at my results. Bottom. So this was the control group, as you can see, really, really tiny. That was the regenerative agriculture, like the Jadam practices. These two had electroculture, but this was the proper electroculture. That one didn't have too much in. And this one I did nothing at all, but it had the most water and it did the best. And it had the best mulch, so if you don't know what on earth electroculture is, go back and look at episode GT18, I think it was, where basically I show the techniques I'm using, and you're enhancing the Earth's magnetic and also electrical currents that enable the microbes to grow more with that additional energy. It all sounds and looks a bit crazy, but there is a lot of scientific experiments that have been done that show the difference it makes with plant growth. So this is the control group, as you can see, really tiny potatoes. Frankly, it's miraculous there's anything grown at all. Looks like we're just getting 2 here, but we're going to dig up, my lovely assistant Tom helping, we're going to dig up a row from each of the test borders and see what we get. Right, so this is the Jadam ones.
Much better?
Yeah, much better. Oh, even Lena's interested now. She said that looks more like it.
Oh, on the other side.
Yeah, loads better. So as much as I wasn't very good at getting the Jadam microbial solution on the soil, which is the foundation of this regenerative agriculture method, one thing I did keep on top on was making the fertilizers and applying them every week, both to the soil and as a foliar feed. And they were fermented with leaf mold. You can see all these lovely bubbles here showing that it's working. And I did several. That was the seaweed one. There was also fermented urine for the nitrogen, and some fermented weeds and manure. So everything that I should have put on did go on, at least with the fertilizers. And then the electroculture bed. So reasonable there. So let's compare all 3. So can you guess which one was which? Well, the one right at the bottom of here, you can see that is the control group. Really rather pathetic. There's a whole row of potatoes there. That's the Jadam, and that is the electroculture. So Jadam the clear winner, and considering I didn't even do that to the full extent, you can see the difference. But the electroculture, that's promising, I think. You can see it's probably double the control group, and the Jadam maybe triple, sort of. So one interesting thing I did observe with the electroculture is all the beans I put on the back row here, every single one of them germinated, whereas in the control group maybe 1, and in the Jadam group a third germinated. So the germination was much better. Also, plants seem to establish quicker. The broccoli here, although it's got eaten to pieces because I didn't put the netting on the electroculture side I have plants. On every other side they all got eaten completely. So maybe that was coincidental. I don't know. We shall find out next year. So I look forward to continuing this experiment next year. So as I mentioned in the last episode, I'll be growing some low oxalate vegetables next year. So be growing completely different things than I've grown this year. So that will be interesting. And also with things like the electroculture, it can take a year or two for them to really establish the soil microbes. So it will be good to see another year and what the differences are. And then I do promise to do it properly this year with the Jadam, so we'll get much more realistic results for next year. I imagine in time I would do a mixture of the Jadam and the electroculture. Although the electroculture wasn't anywhere near a patch on the Jadam methods, what I like about it is I wasn't involved. Once I put the stuff in, that's it. I didn't have to do anything else. And I really rather like that style of gardening. You know, that's why I'm a garden designer. I like doing one-off things. I'm not a gardener where anything remotely repetitive, and I'm afraid I lose interest very quickly. So it's a real struggle for me to keep making these solutions. I'm fascinated to begin with because it's all new and exciting, but to keep repeatedly applying these solutions, it did get old quite quickly for me, I must admit. So if I can get fairly decent results from the electroculture with a bit of Jadam, for me that I think is going to be the way forward. But anyway, I shall persevere with my experiment, and next year, dare I vow to do everything on time. Oh yeah, all right then, I vow to do everything on time next year. Oh, and just a reminder, it's Successful Garden Design's 14th anniversary. So there's a sale on all my garden design courses. So do grab yourself a bargain. And if you saw the last garden design show, you'll know exactly what I'm going to be doing with that money. So till next time, take care.